So what's the highest level of neighboring?
Oh gosh, throwing that block party,
Yeah.
I think. Right?
Yeah, that's neighboring on
Yes.
steroids.
All right.
Welcome back to the Talk Midland podcast. My name is Logan Richetti with Modern Realty. Today I have Trisha Fenby with the Midland Area Cultural Awareness Coalition.
Correct.
All right, I got it. What is that?
Well, the Cultural Awareness Coalition is a group of individuals in our community that are either being supported through an agency or just acting on behalf of their individual self in the community, coming together to really work to really make Midland an inclusive community.
So it's a volunteer organization?
It is. It is housed under the Midland Area Community Foundation.
Okay.
And we just work at promoting, diversity, equity, living by our Midland motto of Together, Forward, Bold.
Okay. Our mission, Midland, an inclusive community. That's our vision. Mm-hmm. Our mission to promote, encourage, share, and sustain cultural awareness through Midland. So how do we do that?
Well, we do that through things like neighboring, right? Mm-hmm. We have a wonderful subcommittee, our Neighboring Week subcommittee. It has 8 people, and through that subcommittee, we work at promoting neighboring, just being good neighbors in our community.
Let's talk about Neighboring Week, September 22nd through the 28th. What is going on with Neighboring Week? I see signs all over the place. Modern Realty has a sign now for neighboring.
Yes.
What is neighboring? What are we trying to accomplish?
Well, neighboring is just an act of being kind to those around you. And it started, Neighboring Week is a national drive, and it's centered around Good Neighbor Day, which is September 28th. And it's just a way to be able to bring people together, to get to know your neighbor, to connect with people around you, and make the community a more welcoming environment.
I love it. The Cultural Awareness Coalition invites the community to participate in Neighboring Week within your neighborhoods, workplaces, parks, recreational groups, coffee shops, places of worship, restaurants, etc. So anywhere.
Anywhere. You can neighbor anywhere.
And we have, it looks like there are some events going on.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about those.
Yeah, we have right now, if you were to log on to your internet and go to Max Loves Midland, we have a community calendar, and you could just search for neighboring on the community calendar and find several events that are happening during Neighboring Week.
Okay, so maxlovesmidland.com.
Yes.
Click on neighboring.
Yes.
And then there's a list of events. What are some of the events that are going on?
The events are, there's over like 70 agencies that are working together and individually to promote neighboring throughout the county. So we have things like Floats with Goats at the library, which is an opportunity to go enjoy an ice cream float while you get to meet some goats.
Floats with Goats.
Floats with Goats. We have a fall fun day at the Miracle Field where a bunch of agencies have gotten together. They're going to provide chili tasting and hot dogs and games and events just to bring community together. There's the coffee shops in Midland. There's 8 coffee shops right now that are offering coffee and conversation,
Cool.
which is an awesome experience. So they're going to have a turquoise table set up in the coffee shops. It's going to be a community table. It's based on the book, The Turquoise Table, which talks about just bringing community together through conversation. If you are going to participate or go into the coffee shops during Neighboring Week, you have an opportunity to sit at this turquoise table and get to know maybe a neighbor that you didn't know before. Huh. And there's going to be some promotional information there just to give you a little bit more about why neighboring is so important.
So the idea, if you go to a coffee shop and you see a turquoise table, you go sit there or join somebody who is sitting there with the idea of meeting them and getting to know the neighbor.
Right, yes.
Let's talk about the Know Your Neighbors card here. What do we have here?
Oh, goodness. So years ago, neighboring actually was born out of a concept that came from a book called The Art of Neighboring. And this card here is an example of that. So The Art of Neighboring was promoted in a town in Colorado that they used it as through the church organizations, right? The whole concept of love thy neighbor. And they said if you just get to know the 9 people around you, you can have a greater impact in your community. And it brings the concept of love thy neighbor outside of the church into the community. And it just makes sense, right? In order for us to be a welcoming community, in order for us to feel safe and that we belong, that people are thinking about us and that we're thinking about others, we just need to know those people around us. In this concept is to just get to know the 9 people that live around you. You have people next to you, you have people across the street from you, you have people behind you. And if you get to know them, you're going to build a stronger relationship and a better community overall. So we're challenging our residents in Midland this year, asking them to get to know their neighbor.
So the way to do that is to bring this card and then kind of go introduce yourself and write their name on it?
Well, yeah, and a funny story is my husband and I actually had a little contest about it because he was convinced that he would know more of our neighbors than I did.
Oh, yeah?
And I was certain he wouldn't. But we did. So he filled his out and I filled mine out without having actually introduced ourselves yet. And he did know more of our neighbors, which compelled me to just get out there and meet them. Because if you think about it, we don't do that anymore. Right? We drive in. When we come home from work, we usually have an electric garage door opener. We pull our car in the garage, we shut the door, and we never see the people across the street from us.
That's true.
And if you just simply waved at them when you were putting your garbage can out or collecting your mail or happen to say hello when you're walking your dog, it could open up a whole conversation.
Yeah, there's no block parties anymore like there used to be.
No, well, there are. We just need to hear about them. And speaking of block parties, Midland this year, we were granted some money from the Midland Area Community Foundation, the neighboring subcommittee, and they provided us with some funds to just be able to promote neighboring. So we decided to offer those funds in the form of a celebration for people in our community. We had 30 grants available where we were giving people $100 to have a celebration in their own neighborhood.
Cool.
Individuals could access the funds, ask for the funds. They can go all out and have a block party, or they can just simply buy thank you cards for their neighbors, right? To whatever extent they felt they could neighbor, we were giving them this opportunity. We were able to use all 30 funds. It's impacting over 700 households in the whole county. We have people in Sanford, out in Mableton Township, in Coleman, and right here in the city of Midland. It's such an amazing thing. And then we had, I think, 4 additional people had requested funds that we didn't have the money for, but the Midland Area Wellbeing Coalition had some available funds. So they honored those other 4.
Wow. So 34 different individuals requested some grant money to throw a party in their community.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
How fun is that?
Have those happened yet, or are they scheduled to happen?
They're going to happen during neighboring week.
Okay. Cool. And so there's going to be, is there a list of where they are, or how do you find them?
Yeah, those are just for
smaller?
the neighborhoods, right? So those are for the neighborhoods. Hopefully we're going to hear the story about it after they participate. So we'll get to hear how they use those funds and how it brought their community, their small community together.
I love block parties. I thought block parties were such a fun thing growing up.
Parties are. You should have one.
We should. You know, we walk the kids around the neighborhood all the time, and we wave to the neighbors. And yesterday we pet somebody's dog, but we didn't really stop and introduce ourselves or anything like that. We need to do a better job of that.
Right.
I think a lot of people in this, or just in general, don't always build the level of relationship with neighbors that maybe we used to.
Right.
There's a lot of transit. There's a lot of moving in, moving out, and
we have busy lives.
And we have beautiful neighborhoods in Midland too, by the way. We have the most beautiful, stunning neighborhoods, mature trees, you know, encompassing the roads, and beautiful landscaping and sidewalks everywhere, and everything's nice. Yeah. And a lot of those neighborhoods are well defined by school district or by area. You can tell the subdivisions that were built in the 50s and the 70s and things. So yeah, we need to do more neighboring. So let's talk about the neighboring schedule a little bit. What do we have going on early next week?
Look at that.
So what do we have? What do we have on the 22nd?
So let's see. Neighboring actually starts on Sunday. There's actually some pre-neighboring happening on Saturday. There's the Creative 360 and there's a peace block party happening on Saturday at Creative 360.
So that's Saturday, September 21st.
Right. On Sunday, I believe there's going to be St. John's Episcopal is going to have a blessings of the pets,
Oh, cool.
which will be super fun because animals are neighbors too.
Let's go back to where Neighboring Week came from and how you and
Yeah.
others, the mayor,
The mayor
brought this
Yeah.
concept to Midland.
Oh my gosh. Well, again, I guess a citizen of Midland was visiting Colorado and she happened to attend a church service there, and they did a sermon based on this book, The Art of Neighboring, and bringing community together.
I think that was Penny Miller Nelson, the new superintendent of schools. Could it have been her?
I don't know because it was back in 2011. So
Oh.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Penny doesn't seem like she's old enough to have done that, but I don't know Penny that well. But anyway, she came back and she mentioned it to Maureen, and Maureen is just very strongly rooted in this community and loves the art of neighboring and loves the whole idea behind it. So the mayor had approached Wally Mayton, Pastor or Reverend Wally Mayton, and brought it up to him and said, how can we bring this to Midland? So the two of them joined forces and got it together that year. And it was kind of a grassroots organization. They were working very hard. But as happens in many grassroots events, that kind of dwindled a little bit. And, for whatever reason, then in 2020, I, as part of the Cultural Awareness Coalition, I had attended the well-being workshop in 2020, and we were working toward becoming certified in applied positive psychology. And at the end of this program, we had to have a capstone project that would really bring together all of our learning and be able to provide something in the community from what we learned. And through the Cultural Awareness Coalition, there were 4 of us that had attended this workshop, and the mayor was one of them. And we got together and we thought, what can we do? Well, hey, let's reinvigorate this neighboring idea. And so we brought it back to life in 2020, which was just such a pivotal year because it was in June that we started talking about it. And this was when we were in the middle of this pandemic. The world had shut down and we were being socially distanced. We had this catastrophic flood that happened in Midland. There was all kinds of political anger going on in the world. And so we were so separated and so isolated and so lonely that neighboring just happened to be kind of a saving grace, I think, for us at that time. 4 of us together started looking at ways we could just promote this in the community, and we knew it had to be really simple. We knew that we couldn't ask a lot out of people at this time because people were so emotionally stretched. So we created levels. Like, how could you neighbor at your own capacity? What is the least amount of neighboring you can do to make you feel good and to make a connection?
So what's the lowest amount of neighboring you can do?
Wave.
Wave.
Just wave to someone, right?
Okay.
Just do something nice. Open the door. And neighboring doesn't have to happen right in your physical home environment, right? While you want it to, you can neighbor at work. You can neighbor in your faith organization. You can neighbor at school. And just wherever you spend time and you are around other people, we just want you to be a good human and be respectful and, extend gratitude towards others.
So what's the highest level of neighboring?
Oh gosh, throwing that block party, I think. Right?
Yeah, that's neighboring on
Yes.
steroids.
All right. So what we saw though, we invited businesses, small businesses here in Midland. It was important because everybody was struggling. So the businesses, the organizations, the faith community, and just the individuals. And we said, hey, here's what we're doing. This is the week we're doing it. And so we started seeing events pop up. Floats with Goats was one of those events, I think, that happened that year. And then we saw people actually coming out because people needed to come out. They needed to connect. And so we were able to do it in a very safe and socially distanced way. And it was already having an impact. And that just gave us that momentum to keep it going. And we saw through the years, 2021 through 2023, we really saw that these agencies and businesses that offered events enjoyed it because they got to see people. And so they came back, the following years and did this. And then we saw the newspaper took an interest and started running articles about how important it was to connect with people. And Public Arts of Midland provided opportunities to embrace the arts programs into what Neighboring is doing.
Wow.
Community, the school got involved and, started showing kids how important it is to neighbor and through the administrative building and stuff. So, yeah.
So it's really growing. Mm-hmm. And I drive down Eastman now and I see these signs on all these businesses that I never recognized before or knew what they were. Yeah. But there's a lot of small businesses supporting this concept.
Yes, absolutely.
That's exciting.
Yeah. And those signs, by the way, were donated. There was we received a grant from State Farm Agencies in Midland, and they donated money, and so we created the signs. We thought that was a great way to be able to really promote and celebrate neighboring.
Yeah, they like neighboring. They like neighbors. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there,
absolutely.
So they got to sponsor the neighboring week.
They did, yeah. And I do believe one of the agents has an event that she's hosting all week long at during neighboring week. So
what is that?
I believe she's having coffee and a treat in her office. That's great. Monday through Friday. So yeah.
So what are the components that make a great block party?
Oh gosh, I think it's just really just providing safe space where people can feel comfortable. Right? It doesn't have to be. Well, I say that,
but you need some food.
You do need some food, and if you're going to have a real live block off your street block party, you need to get
a permit.
And everybody on the street has to sign this permit.
Oh, geez.
And I found that out the hard way because I tried to have a block party this summer. We ended up having a front yard party because we didn't get all the signatures.
Yeah.
But it still was an opportunity, right? So we had people come down and, we had hot dogs and everybody brought their own dish to pass. And we had some events for the kids to do. Brought out our cornhole and sidewalk chalk and kickball, and we just had fun.
Well, Modern Realty throws a yard party every year for our birthday.
You do?
Oh, yeah. It's wild. It's in July.
Okay.
Next year will be our 10th year anniversary, so we're going to go even more crazy. But we have 750 to 800 people attend that every year. We have 2 food trucks. We have a band or some kind of music. We had a petting zoo and all kinds of crazy stuff, bounce houses for the kids. So it's when you throw a party like that, you got to think about everybody. You got to think about the adults. We got a wine. That's a wine and beer, and then you got the kids. They have all the fun stuff, and then try to keep the teenagers involved too somehow. But
that's the hardest group, right?
Well, the DECA Club comes and they volunteer for setup and cleanup.
Yeah,
and then we pay them for that.
Perfect.
So that's a great way to involve the kids in that way.
I love that. And that's the thing, right? So we celebrate Neighboring Week during this last week of September. It's a great time to celebrate. It's a great time to reflect. But it doesn't just have to happen this last week of September. Sure. Neighboring is something that we can do every single day of our life, and you can have your block parties any time of the year and still enjoy.
So this is a major initiative, but what else does the Cultural Awareness Coalition tackle?
Oh, gosh. We have a lot. So the Cultural Awareness Coalition is under the umbrella of the Midland Area Community Foundation, and it is, really we have efforts in River Days, right? We help promote River Days. We have the Global Diversity Month that we really try to promote. And then we just really help lift up the initiatives of other organizations.
And so this is a volunteer group? Mm-hmm. So you're a volunteer? Mm-hmm. How many volunteers are involved?
There's a lot. Yes, we have, I'm not even sure. There's a pretty big distribution list, and anybody can join. You just, need to reach out to the Cultural Awareness Coalition through their website or through Facebook. Mm-hmm. And really people, again, join at their own capacity. So some of us attend every monthly meeting and sign up to volunteer for all the fun events. And some of us, attend what we can, or we participate in the subcommittees and do the work there.
And the Midland Area Community Foundation is located on the Circle?
Yes.
Okay. Right next to the Midland Board of Realtors across the street there.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And so this entity is housed in that building as well?
We are mostly virtual,
okay.
So we meet virtually, but yes, we have some administrative support there. So that's just the nice thing to be able to have.
What makes you so active in your volunteering? Where does that come from?
I was born and raised in Midland. I love Midland. I do. I can't help it. It's just my hometown, and I think it's an amazing hometown. I have an adult daughter. I have two adult daughters. I raised both my kids here. My oldest daughter is autistic, and we had to establish roots and make this community her community. And we needed her to understand what this community had to offer, and we needed the community to understand how they could support her.
Sure.
And so that's where my drive comes from.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. When you have an autistic child, it's hard. They can have a hard time connecting. So you need to do extra to help her feel connected and to learn how to connect with others.
Right.
So that becomes extra important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, someday, Logan, I'm not going to be here, right? But she still is. And so I need to rely on this community to provide her with that safety and that that connection, right? She belongs, and she loves it here. So we want to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to get involved, the best way to do that is to reach out through Facebook or on the website.
Sure, yes.
And what's the biggest need that the Midland Area Community Foundation and the Cultural Awareness Coalition have right now? Is it funds? Is it volunteers?
So I can't, I can't really speak for the foundation because they do so much. For the Cultural Awareness Coalition, I do believe that, volunteers having that promotion of just being able to help us lift up our mission, right? To make Midland a more inclusive environment. Like this is the Midland mission, right? This is what we do. Midland is a welcoming community that people want to come to because of this. And so we want to help support that.
So individual volunteers and small businesses that can contribute and post things.
Sure,
And come up with great ideas to promote cultural inclusivity, awareness, love, all that stuff.
Yes.
Trisha, thank you for being on the Talk Midland podcast.
Well, thank you for having me.